If God doesn't work in strange ways. Yesterday, we just had a conversation about the Shrine of St. Joseph, the church very close to the Dome. And it turns out that no one knows this story. So we called and we said, we got to get him in. That's a great story. And it turns out that it's a good thing we did because they've got something to announce. And so we're able to help him. Jim Allen is a docent with the Shrine of St. Joseph. Jim, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, now first, let's talk about the Shrine of St. Joseph, one of the great gems of St. Louis. Which very few people know about. Tell us where it is and give us a little.
Sure. Shrine of St. Joseph, or St. Joseph's Church, is downtown at 11th and Biddle, 2 blocks north of the Dome. It's been there since 1844, and it's a thriving Catholic church in the city of in downtown St. Louis.
1844, 2 blocks north of the Dome. You can see it from the highway. You can see the steeple from the highway.
With the new bridge?
Yeah.
You see it as you come off the bridge.
Yeah. So, okay. So, the Shrine of St. Joseph, and it's, since 1844, it's had at least one confirmed miracle.
That is correct.
What's the one confirmed miracle?
In March 16th of 1864, a German man, his name was Ignatius Strecker, was deathly ill. Doctors diagnosed him as having tuberculosis, and he was destined to die. His children carried him to the shrine, and he kissed the relic of Blessed Peter Claver. And the next day, he was miraculously healed, went back to work, and he lived for another 15 years.
And that went all the way up to the Vatican?
That was deemed to be an authenticated miracle, and was one of the 2 that led to St. Peter Claver's canonization.
Okay. So who was this guy? Who's this Peter guy?
Peter Claver is a Jesuit priest. He lived in the 1600s, and he did his work in South America. He ministered to Africans on slave ships. As they came around South America, he would go on the slave ship and take off the slaves who had died, or the Africans who had died, and bury them properly. He would then care for the Africans that remained, their wounds, and prepare them for their journey, and they would then come here to America and be indentured servants.
And so why did they pray to him?
It was really no relation with the sick man. It was just a Jesuit priest, and they looked for his veneration and his help.
Right. Okay. Now the second one, I have said this, so make sure I'm right or wrong here. What's this other story that's not a miracle, but it's unbelievable?
Right. So the church, St. Joseph's Church, has a number of things have happened there. In the fall of 1866, 2 years later, there was a major cholera epidemic in St. Louis, and many, many people died. The parishioners of St. Joseph all got together and made a vow to St. Joseph to help them relieve them of cholera. And what they say was no member of any family who made that vow died of cholera after they made that vow. So we think that was close to a miracle, but was never authenticated by the Vatican. That led to some of the publicity about the church, and it's now been able to be expanded, or in 1866 it was expanded to what you see today.
Because I bet people were just flocking there after that, weren't they?
The Germans in St. Louis were very politically popular and connected in the late 1860s, 1880s time frame. And the Germans were actually 1/4 of the population of St. Louis at that time. And half of those Germans were Catholic.
And so this cholera epidemic was pretty big in St. Louis. I mean, there were people dying in the streets, literally.
Right. There were many, many cholera epidemics in St. Louis, but many, many people were dying in St. Louis.
I'm no miracle expert, but it sounds like that's a bigger miracle than praying to this saint.
Well, it was,
or the person who was to become a saint.
It very well could have been. It just wasn't uniquely to one person and relieving of one person's ailments. That it was just never authenticated.
How can we get it authenticated? Can we start a Facebook page? How does that work?
Well, I think the construction of the church is really the reward for that.
I see.
For that miracle. The church was expanded in 1866, and it's very beautifully done. Very articulate and ornate. Unfortunately, in the 1970s, the church was about to be torn down.
Why is
in
that?
the 1970s, the downtown St. Louis area was very dilapidated, and it was falling apart. The church had huge holes in the roof, and birds were flying around. With the help of the group that we belong to, the Friends of the Shrine of St. Joseph, we've been able to restore it. So everything in the church has been artistically and professionally restored to the way we think it looked in 1866.
What's the story of the man who was impaled by a rod, and they took him to the church and they pulled the rod out and he lived? Is that a story?
That's not a St. Joseph story.
No?
Might be on the...
You sure? You check
Yes,
those back pages of those history books in there?
No.
All right, good. All right, well then
So,
somebody's telling me a story then.
I'm assuming though other people have come to St. Joseph and prayed and hoping for miracles.
That is correct. People have come to St. Joseph who were sick or had children or family members who were not well, and have prayed at St. Joseph's, left a petition with the church, and have come back later and said that things have become better for them in their life. Either the sickness or illness has dissipated, but that's that could be anything. It's not necessarily. But St. Joseph is known as the altar of is known as having the altar of answered prayers,
because St. Joseph is the saint of unanswered prayers, right? Or lost things. Isn't he the saint of
no, that's Saint Anthony.
The Saint Anthony, right.
Saint Joseph is the father of Jesus, or the foster father of Jesus, the father of the husband of Mary.
Right. Aren't you supposed to bury a Saint Joseph upside down in your backyard to sell your house?
your home?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Saint Joseph is the patron of a happy or happy death.
Of realtors.
Yeah, because it's important to not, because you have to bury it upside down in your backyard, because if you bury it right side up in your front yard, your neighbor's house sells.
Could be.
Tell us about the Mass coming up Sunday.
Right. Sunday at 11 a.m., 11th and Biddle, we're having a Mass in celebration of the 150th anniversary of the miracle. We will have special guests there. Descendants of the Strecker family, the man who was healed, will be there. The Knights and Ladies of St. Peter Claver will be there, along with the. We'll have a special musical guest. The Archdiocesan Handbell Choir will be performing as well.
It's an ongoing daily parish, right? Do you have parishioners?
Well,
And it's a
we're
regular
not
church?
a parish.
You're not a
We're
parish.
not a parish. We're a church in good standing with the Archdiocese of St. Louis, but we're not a parish church. We have Mass every Sunday at 11, and we're actually very well known for having weddings at our church.
Yes, beautiful.
So weddings are a big draw for our church. We have 2, sometimes 3 weddings on a Saturday at our church. We also have a big feast day coming up next Wednesday. March 19th is the Feast of St. Joseph, and Mass will be held at noontime on that day with Archbishop Carlson as the celebrant.
Oh, great. All right. So to find out more information about all of this stuff, can we go to the website?
The website, shrineofstjoseph.org.
Shrineofstjoseph.org. Jim Allen, who is the docent down there, Shrine of St. Joseph, I'm so glad you came in. I'm so glad you had a Mass to talk about, this big miracle Mass on Sunday. Sort of serendipitous that we were talking about it in the studio yesterday, and we still thought we'd want to get you in. So,
Excellent.
1,000 thank yous. The website again for more information?
shrineofstjoseph.org.
You sure there wasn't a story where the guy impaled and they pulled it out and he walked out? No? All right. Fair enough.
That is an old wives' tale.
Shrine of St. Joseph, 2 blocks north of the Dome, one of the great places, another great, beautiful building here in St. Louis, and a great story as well. Jim Dosen, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
7:31 here, Big 550.